Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Tech Talk Live. This is session number 104. For those of you who haven't joined us before for a Tech Talk Live, these are events that we host monthly for the Alfresco community. They're always highly technical, focused on different aspects of the product. Sorry, double screen. So I am Kristen Gastaldo. If I haven't met you yet, I am the community manager for Alfresco. So I manage our new forums, blogs, platform where we, connect with you and you connect with our team and with each other. We are joined by the test automation system team today. They're going to be doing an overview of their work and functionality there. As far as announcements coming up, we are actually not going to be hosting office hours at the end of the month. We usually do office hours the last Friday, but because we're all going to be at BCon, we are taking that session off. So again, for those of you that haven't heard, BCon is April 25 to 28. It's in Zaragoza, Spain. It is going to be about 200 Alfresco enthusiasts and experts. So a lot of great sessions. We hope you can attend. I know that there are less than 100 tickets left available. So if you're planning on going, go ahead and book your ticket and book your travel. I will hand it over to Francesco and he can introduce himself, and then we'll hand it off to the TAS team and get going.
Thank you very much, Krista. My name is Francesco Corti. I am product evangelist, and since October, I'm here also to introduce the Tech Talk Live and office hours regularly. And so let us know about some feedback, because now we are very regular on talking about Tech Talk Live and technical stuff together. But today, I'm very happy to share with you new stuff around Alfresco things. And in particular, we have Craig Hodgson. Hi, Craig. How are you?
Hi there, good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you might be. Nice to see you guys.
We have also with us Paul Brodner. Hi, Paul.
Hey.
We have Sergiu Vidrascu. Hi, Sergiu. How are you?
Hey, guys.
So I don't want to talk too much as usual. I would prefer to leave the talk to Greg, that will introduce about this TAS. And again, I'm very happy and thank you guys for being here, introducing us to this new topic. Greg, please.
Hi there. So yes, my name's Craig Hodgson. I joined Alfresco as a consultant automation architect about a year ago to kick off the test automation system, or it's now fondly called the TAS project. And we are all the Tasmanian devils on the team. Why did we kick this off? So Alfresco hired me to oversee the management of the project, but also to be involved in the technical architecture. The reason that we did this project, and the other guys are going to take you through some of the technical stuff and show you the code that we've written for this, was because Alfresco had a number of different automation approaches. There was a number of different test automation projects. There was no kind of common architecture to that. And some of the automation, dare I say it, there was a lot of human intervention required. It wasn't quite as smooth and optimized as you'd want automation to be. Fairly unstable, not part of continuous delivery, etc. So that was kind of the remit of the project. As well as automated testing, which was largely done through the user interface, so it was fairly unstable. There was also a real it was really wasteful in terms of the way in which Alfresco tried to provision environments to test. And there's a number of different technology stacks that are supported by Alfresco. So we needed to come up with a provisioning solution that allowed us to quickly create these environments for test and development. So there's two sides to what the guys in the team are going to show you today. One is the provisioning side, and one is the actual testing capability. So the guys that actually write a lot of this code and do this stuff are actually going to take you through it line by line. So it's gives me great pleasure to pass over to our kind of provisioning guru in the team, first of all, which is Sergiu Vidrascu.
Hey, guys. So I'm Sergiu Vidrascu. I'm from Iași. I hope you enjoy the amazing view outside. And yeah, I'm in Alfresco for like 2.5 years. I've been doing test automation, and also I'm in charge of the architecture for our provisioning part of the TAS project. I'll quickly share my screen so we can get right to it. Okay.
In the meantime, Sergiu, we appreciate the view. It's amazing behind you. We can see your screen.
Indeed it is. Okay. Okay. I hope you can see the slideshow properly.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so we actually did, just a moment. Okay. Okay. So when I first came into Alfresco, about 2.5 years ago, and started doing automation in there, we actually noticed that there were a lot of issues in terms of internal provisioning. There was a lot of blockages and a lot of manual intervention, error-prone configuration, and it's actually quite a big deal, and it's hard to actually do and test all of these environments because, as you know, Alfresco has a huge supported platforms matrix that involves like a lot of application servers, a lot of DB systems, and also OSs. So we came in with TAS and set up a goal that we can make this better. You know? We wanted to have one-click provisioning, do infrastructure as code, and help within this test process. But not just the test process. The goal of TAS in provisioning was much broader. It was also to increase development and the test cycle speed, because we weren't the only users for this. Our goal was actually to have the artifacts, from Alfresco, have them put in a Docker container, and then using Docker Compose to actually have environments that QA can use, that developers can use, also the TAS test runs can use, the automated test runs within CIs, and any other users that might want to actually try it out from our internal team. Now, the idea is that we love infrastructure as code. And we picked up Chef, and we have Chef Alfresco already in Git that will help you actually provision Alfresco easier. And it's been a great journey for us to actually use Chef to provision our test environments, because of all the complexity that it is, and Chef actually makes it so much simpler. And just having all of that configuration stored into version control, it brings a lot of power to us and a lot of usefulness for everyone in the community also. So, but we also love Docker. And we really wanted a lot to use Docker to speed up our provisioning. And we wanted to bind these two together. However, Docker, at least from my point of view, doesn't really excel in configuration management. Yeah, Docker file is there, but it's very static, and it doesn't really allow for too much flexibility, and it's not really too dynamic. So then, guys, we have...
Sergiu, sorry to interrupt. Your slides are actually blank right now.
Yeah,
oh.
I know.
Oh, okay, perfect. I was like, oh, did that? I mean, fair enough. I'll let you continue.
Yeah, no problem. It's okay. Okay, so I'll just get back to this so we can have a slide, okay? Perfect. So the idea is that we wanted to join these two technologies together, having Chef and having Docker and Docker Compose to actually bring our environments up. So we actually did that, and we use Chef to create the Docker containers, and then we bring those up using Docker Compose. Now, how we did that? It's quite interesting and quite simple, actually. We have a Chef client container that exposes some volumes. Actually, one volume that has Chef client installed. We have a Chef Alfresco volume that has our cookbooks that actually provision Alfresco. And then we have a base OS container where we start from. And then we use Docker Compose to bring all of those together and do a Chef converge and actually build that container. After that, we just do a few minor modifications, like adding a dynamic script for startup, and then push it to a registry. Then this container can be used to bring up the environment, but not just a static environment. We can do clustering with this. We can also change the builds. We can change the war files. We can add additional amps, for example, or add additional properties. Now, let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So, for example, this is how the Docker Compose file looks like for how we build the containers. We first have the Chef data, which is actually our Chef Alfresco code with the cookbook, vendor cookbooks, and this gets built up. And then we have the Chef client within that, also as an image. And then when Docker Compose runs, it will actually trigger Chef from the volume. We'll pick up the cookbook from Chef data and do the converge. At the end, we end up with a container that's fully converged with our web server, but just our web server. And we commit that to the repository. Now, of course, Docker doesn't really excel at least when we started that, because now Docker has evolved a lot. But when we started using Docker, it was quite painful to work with clustering. And we had to find a way to actually be able to wait for additional nodes, wait for the DB to be properly up so we can start the Alfresco node in some cases. So then we added a Docker start, basically a SH script that's within the container, and that does a lot of dynamic configuration for us. Like I told you before, appending global properties, changing the build if it's needed, installing amps, share amps, Alfresco amps, changing wars if it's necessary, adding licenses, changing GDKs, and other nifty stuff like that. And that was very cool for us because we now could have one container that it's flexible enough so that we can put in a CI system, but also anybody else can use it as it is and bring up his own environment with the specific Alfresco version that he wants to use. And this is how we actually bring it up through Docker Compose at this point. We have a container that is just for Alfresco data, and that helps us a lot because we can do upgrades very easily. We hold the content store within this volume, and then we use it around, so we can basically just scale down to 0, the AlfDoc, the Alfresco container, and then bring it up again with a new version, for example, a new build, and it will pick up the same DB and also the same content store. So we can even test upgrades, which is another very big plus, and which was actually a very big issue for us doing that manually. And the Alfresco container, like I said, it's dynamic. We just send it a few environment variables, and we set it up from there. We start it up, and we can use it further. Now, just to do a quick demo, actually, Paul is gonna actually run some tests on an environment that I will bring up right now. So I'm in a VM right here. Hey. And I will start it up and check a bit the logs. We also added the logging for Alfresco and actually split up the logs for share, for Alfresco, for Solar, so we can easily identify if we actually have some issues and bugs, if we actually find some bugs in there. So at first, the Alfresco container will actually pick up. In this case, it actually picks up the latest build from our CI system for Alfresco, and we'll actually bring up an environment with that. Picks up the distribution.
Francesco, may I ask you which version of Alfresco you're using?
I'm sorry?
Which Alfresco version are you using here?
At this point, it's 5.2. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, 5.2.
No, please go ahead. It's only my for my understanding.
Yeah, no problem. So it will pick up the distribution artifact. It will put them where they need to be, and then start up Alfresco, share, and Solar, of course.
And it is just with the Solar services splitted, so it's a new Solar services, so it's a Solar services inside the Alfresco engine directly.
At this point, it's within the same container. We haven't split it yet, and but we're looking forward to actually do that going further, so we can have a lot more flexibility, of course. And share also, and Solar, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so at this point, it's almost started. Now, currently, we don't really actually have any of this code public. We really want to do that, but we will see when. It's still to be decided. There's not a strict timeline. Fixed timeline for that yet, so, but we're actually looking forward to letting you have and use this, because we think it's really amazing, and it actually saved us a lot of time and a lot of effort in doing provisioning.
Could be great if Craig later on at the end of the presentation during the question and answer could spend some time on that topic, because I feel like, first of all, I think it's amazing, and I think they're interesting also to understand how and what we can use. Sorry, Sergiu, to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. However, what I can tell you is that we are working with Docker, and that I think that's amazing. I think you're really glad to hear that. And Enzo, actually, my colleague from the TAA team, is actively working at the process services, on the process services side. He actually released an image that you can check out. It's public, and it's really amazing. And also, not just use that simple container, you can go check out this his GitHub, the Alfresco GitHub for apps Docker library repo, and there you can actually use Compose or actually use Kubernetes if you want to bring up the process services, and it's really nice. It works like a charm.
Yes.
Okay, then I think that's kind of all I want to show you at this point. I'm really hoping that you would join us at the Beacon, because I'm going to have a presentation there also, where I'm going to go in more depth into this and actually show you what else we did, because we also have an orchestration platform dealing with this. It's not just us running Docker Compose up and bringing up the whole environment. And I'm really excited that Beacon exists.
Exactly. So, Sergiu, we have some questions. Sorry for interrupting, but I think the topic is extremely interesting. So we have one question from YouTube channel from Yunus. So he's asking, on every run, on every build, images on every start. I don't know if he's referring to the supported version of Alfresco. Yunus, please specify if you are in IRC or YouTube. Probably is interested to understand which are the supported versions and artifacts of this tool.
Okay.
Is it clear, the question, Sergiu?
Almost.
Probably Yunus is asking if what we are looking now that you anticipate it's the 5.2 release, if it works with all the artifacts, so with previous version, with Community Edition, with Enterprise Edition, which version, and so on. So can you explain a little bit how it works in terms of version of artifacts that we are using, that we can use with this tool?
Yeah, okay. Currently, we developed this against 5.1 and 5.2. We have the framework in place. The idea is that going along the way with more versions, we will keep updating that so we can make it available for 5.0, I think. Yes. Yeah. So that's about it. We are working on 5.1, 5.2. Looking forward to actually create these containers for 5.0 also.
Another question is again from Yunus. If the ask is if the artifacts are downloaded on build and build on every start and during the run. So how it works during the build? Does he build the artifacts, or he download and build the artifacts? So it's just a startup. How it works?
Okay, so the idea is that when we build the container first, and we do that in CI, we pick up a fixed version, or we can actually have those dynamic scripts that can actually change that artifact. So the user actually has the possibility to either just start it up with a stable version, yes, and but also if he wants, he can pick up set up a Bamboo artifact link, and it will automatically install that artifact instead of the default one. We actually chose this. We thought there's a lot of flexibility for us and a lot less a lot more space saving actually. And it was easier for our developers and testers to have the same image, you know, not have too many updates on it, and then just bring it up with the latest build. But of course, this is flexible enough, so we can also just build it on every Alfresco build. That's not a big issue.
Okay, another question from YouTube is TAS working with only with Docker or other provisioning system?
Yeah, actually, that's a good question. It's not just Docker. it's not just Docker. Yeah.
Another question, as you can see, lots of questions and so lots of interest.
Just a second. Let me go through this one. So
okay.
TAS means the testing system or the provisioning. There's not very clear. This is not very clear. Is TAS only works on Docker? That's not very clear.
Okay. Another question we have: if you had the chance to do some load testing and about performance and with the Docker setup, if you had the chance of log testing, I probably think log testing on Alfresco, not the architecture. In any case, did you have the chance to do some tests around benchmarking and performance?
At this point, no. At this point, no. We're looking forward to maybe do that at some point in time. We haven't actually scheduled that yet because, yeah, we haven't yet.
Sorry, just the entire scope of the first release of TAS was purely functional, so performance is coming soon, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Doug. I raise the last question, then we wait for the final part, because otherwise, and again, thank you guys for raising the question, because it's interesting if we have an interaction, but raise the latest question to see, to have the opportunity to see all the presentation. In any case, the latest question is there a way to add extra amp through Docker Compose or mounted volumes? Sergiu.
Okay. At this point, no. We chose to do it through download from a location. Yeah, that was okay for us because we were since we're using CI a lot. We after for example one of the amps is building, that will trigger the test run, which will bring up the environment with Docker, and will pick up the env variable for that amp. So it will get installed. The environment will go up, the test will run, and that's all. Yeah. So at this point, this is how we use it. Yeah, but that's a great thing. We thought about that, haven't yet worked with that, but looking forward to actually do that also, because that's very useful for developers. Of course, just have your amp. You just build your amp, then bring up the environment with that amp from volume for a specific location. That's really great.
Okay, Sergio, if you want to go ahead with the presentation, and sorry again, but again, you can see that if we have lots of interesting interaction,
no, it's okay.
It's interesting. Okay, please.
So I'm actually finished with my presentation for now. As I told you, there's a lot more to come in the Beacon, and I don't want to spoil. I don't want to give up any spoilers on that. Yeah, so. Passing to Paul, really hope you can actually run some tests on the environment I brought up. I hope it didn't crash.
Thank you, Sergio. We'll see. Can you guys hear me? Actually, your server is up. And let's see what will happen. I'll share my screen. you should see Alfresco up and running. I believe, Sergio, this is the right port because I want to run on your environment. But before I start, yes, my name is Brodner, Paul Brodner. I'm also from Romania, from Iași. It seems I booked the wrong room because I don't have your view, Sergio. Don't know why. So boring behind me. I'm working in the automation field for more than 9 years, and I'm in Alfresco for 2 years and a half, I think. I think we started in the same day, Sergio. And now I'm the automation architect for this project. And let's see, we'll start a little bit with the technical part, theoretical part, and after that we'll go a little bit on the code. Please let me know if you're seeing a presentation.
Yes, we can see everything great. Thank you, Paul.
Good. So we started on the repository side of the platform. I believe you already know this picture. It's taken from this link from the docs Alfresco for the 5.2 version. And we try to focus mainly on this side, on the repository side. So we want to test without the user interface in mind. We want to test only the protocols or the APIs. So if we are talking about the protocols, this is also in image taken from the docs, a little bit change. I added here the APIs that the TAS is supporting. So we try to cover and test the following protocols like CIFS, WebDAV, FTP, IMAP, SMTP, AOS, and so on and so forth, but also the REST API and the CMIS API. In order to do that, how can we do that? We try to modelize a little bit the test automation system. So we create distinct Maven projects. We are using Spring for dependency injection. So we created different Java-based project for CIFS, for WebDAV, FTP, email, and so on. But we wanted to create them as based on archetype or something like that, just to have a common approach. So in order to have a common approach for all of this project, we use a internal DSL, domain-specific language, and this is created into an Alfresco TAS utility. So inside this project, we have all the models, and I will talk about models later on. We have all the DSLs, all the common actions that we can do on the Alfresco, and all of these Java projects can implement that DSL. If I go further and talk about the DSL, it will be just an overview. We have basic interfaces that can be implemented by, we have an abstract DSL protocol class that implement a little bit of this DSL, and all of our projects are extended and have a wrapper on the actual client. So for example, if I'm using FTP, I use the FTP from Apache, the FTP client, or if I use the CMIS, I will use the Open CMIS client. And all of these, as you can see, those are distinct projects, but are using the same syntax, the same domain-specific language. So here we have the CMIS API. We can authenticate, and this is the method from the interface. We can specify site because I want to do something in that site, and I'm using my random site. I can create a folder, and I assert that exists in the repository. As you can see here, I have some comments. So I'm using the OpenCMIS client, and I'm using here the FTP client. These are distinct projects, but implementing the same DSL. So if you are learning this syntax only once, you will be, you can implement tests very easily for the remaining 6 or 7 protocols for that. This is the overview. So yeah, I've used my random user, my random site, and so on and so forth. We wanted to use models. We don't want to use here different parameters to pass data. So we have some user models for interacting with users. So it will contain information for users, for sites and folders. So these are like POJO classes, getters and setters, that contain data, and I can pass that data inside my protocols or APIs. And now let's go and I'll show you some a little bit of the code. Hope you're seeing. Also,
yes, we can see.
Yeah, I will switch to Eclipse. Here I have only 2 projects. I will not go through all the projects because the approach is similar. I'm talking about the CMIS and the REST API, and here we have the utility, the common project that have that DSL. I will talk a little bit on the structure. So as you can see, it's a Maven project. We have here different packages. This is for our DSL. We have methods for asserting, methods for protocols for the wrapper. We have the model. These are the actual POJO models. Let's open a user model, for example. So it's a simple class with getter and setters. So this type of models we are using throughout all our Maven projects. We have some utilities for connected on the network side. So we can use and execute GMX queries against our server, and we'll see exactly how we'll do that. We can check the server health, because before our tests were starting, we want to be sure that the server is up and the server is running, so we cannot wait, I don't know how many minutes. We can see exactly in just a couple of seconds. And different utilities for report, for TestNG, because you are using TestNG as the test framework. We have some test management, test case management integration, and also some web testing. We are using Selenium in this, but this will be other talk. This is the utility. And also I want to specify here that all of our projects are using a default properties file. This default properties file contains the information that I need as an engineer, as a tester, to run my code against a particular server. So here I can specify the server that Sergiu created earlier, and maybe change the port, because it will not be the 8080 default port, passing some credential for admin and other information for GMX if I want, and that's it. This is, it doesn't matter how the server is constructed. It can be constructed through provisioning. It can be created manually. You only need to specify the entry point, and that's it. So this type of default properties can be overwritten in your project. So for example, if we see here the CMIS project, same Maven approach, the same Spring dependency on all the utility. Here, for example, let's go on the test resources, and I believe this is the IP of the server. So it's 219. For Alfresco, it's 8070. I'm not changing anything here. So this is only the this line is the only thing that I need to change. As structure, in the main part, we have the classes where we implemented the wrapper. So here we are using the OpenCMIS utility, yeah, from the chemistry projects. So this class is implementing everything from that DSL, from the utility part. We have the CMOS properties that read everything from this file, exception, and so on and so forth. And on the test side, we have lots of tests. We covered, I believe, 90% of the CMIS protocol API. And let's write a simple scenario. Let's see exactly how easily it is to write, or maybe not. I prepare here a simple class. So let's first open a little bit. I want to implement this type of scenario in our first test. This is a standard TestNG class. We're extending all our CMIS tests are extending a basic abstract CMS test. So here we have something that we need to change first that the server is online, and this is the only thing that it matters for me now. And then I can run my test. So the first scenario. As an engineer, I want to create a new random test user. I want to use that user to define a new site. And I'm using this protocol to create a folder. Here are the variables. So let's create, I can create a random file, but let's create a site named TikTok. I can create a random user, and we have the utility in the utility project to create a random user, because it doesn't matter what information are behind the scenes. Everything is saved in this model. I use this random user and create the site, and I have this folder that I need to create inside it. So let's now use the CMS API. So this variable is already defined in our base class. Probably I'm going too fast, but I want to cover everything that I planned for this session.
It's for me it's nice, but feel free to leave a message for you guys out of the conversation if you want to specify things. Please go ahead, Paul. It's really interesting. Thank you for that.
So at this 4 lines, we just define the variables, what we want to use in our test. So now I'm actually using my wrapper. So using this CMS API. First, I want to authenticate the user, and I'm using my random user. And then what I need to do, I want to create a new random test user. I want to use that user to define a new site. Okay. Using site, my site, I want to create a folder. I pass my random folder. Of course, here we just created the folder, but let's also assert that this folder exists in the repository. So these are generic methods created in utility and are using in our project the OpenCMIS library to verify if this folder exists exactly in this site. Let's give it a run and see exactly what's happening. So in order to run it, you need to just right-click on this project and select TestNG test.
Do you want to pray the demo gods, Paul?
Sorry?
Do you want to pray the demo gods, or are you confident?
I'm confident. I will blame Sergiu.
If I fail, don't worry. Yeah, it works. It always works.
It works. Let's see exactly what happened here. Let's go on the TikTok site. It should create this site, but if the test passed, let's first search. Yeah.
We have the feedback from Paul. One feedback from the IRC is that the functional interface seems to be really nice. It seems to be because, of course, they want to test it and to use it.
Okay,
it's fair.
So we have the TikTok site. I'm going to the document library, and I should see here a random folder, and we have it. If you create a random folder, we prefix it with folder and followed by a random string. If you create a file, we use file. And yeah, we don't have anything inside it. But this is pretty much the functionality. Let's comment here this. Maybe because I don't want to create another site with the same name, it will fail. I think I have something. I can go here and set, for example, repository. I can go in the negative part, and this should fail. Let's see exactly what will happen if I run this type of test. So I also go a little bit on the don't have a right permission. Okay, because I'm with another user. It creates another user, and I don't have permission to use this site. So maybe I can use my admin. At admin, because admin has rights for everything. What happened here? First time we create a site, you create a random user and use that user to create a site, right? And if I run again the test, the site was created earlier by another user, so that's why I didn't have permission. But now I'm using the admin, so we have an utility for admin, and see exactly what happened. Okay, I'll save the information. It should fail. Oh, also run it at second. So it will show me something like assertion error, content site TechTalk document library was not found in repos, expected to be found, but it's not. It's not there because we changed this, like it does not exist in repository. Let's see exactly what's happening in the log file. So you have a lot of information here. First, we check the server health, and this is the method that is called before our suite is executed. So assert server is online, and since it's online, we also print the Alfresco version, and this is automatically done by the same method. And here are the tests, the steps that are executed behind the scenes when I'm using that DSL. So you will see exactly here the CMIS API is that it's executed, the steps, the assertion, also the models that are used by us. So this is the random folder that are created. So you can go here and debug easily your tests. Okay, I can go further and add another test, but I will just paste the script just to go really faster here. Let's see. As an engineer, I want to create the following structure. So I'm using the same TechTalk site, and I want to create this type of hierarchy. So I have my site, my TechTalk site. I want to create a parent folder, a child folder, and a file inside it. So it's the same DSL. I'm using the admin this type. I'm using my TechTalk site. I create a parent folder, and I want to assert that folder exists. I can remove this. It doesn't matter. The DSL is flexible enough to work, so you don't have a syntactic error here. I'm using this parent folder, and I create a child. But let's run it to see exactly what's happening here.
Honestly, the language seems to be extremely readable and easy to read. This is my opinion.
That's a good feedback, because we want this tool to be used by junior engineers. So it's kind of plain English. You can, if you learn this DSL, just learning once, and you just write tests there. I will refresh. Yeah?
One of the things, sorry to interrupt you, Paul, is that when we did the discovery for Alfresco, which is a phase that we kind of listened to everyone's requirements, we needed to come up with a common language that everyone would understand. So regardless of experience with testing, then everyone can follow this DSL approach. Sorry, Paul.
No, I think, Greg, that you reached the goal. This is my personal opinion, but I find extremely readable. I find extremely easy. Of course, there is a short time to get the basis, but it's don't want to say natural language, but seems to be easy to understand also what's happening. So I think you get the goal. So on that.
Thank you.
So now I'm just.
I cannot hear you. Can't you hear me, guys?
It looks like Paul might have dropped off.
Yeah, it looks like we lost Paul.
Yes, seems to be we lost Paul. It's too excited to show the
You
face.
jinxed us,
It
Francesco.
could
We had
happen.
such a good run.
No, yes, the demo gods have been offended probably from
Yeah,
our.
exactly.
In any case, we wait again for Paul. Okay, Paul, probably you are back.
Don't know what happened.
No, don't worry. Please go
So,
ahead because
yeah.
we lost it.
Okay, so I hope you will see my screen. I'll just refresh a little bit the server. Because there are a lot of process behind the scenes, so maybe my internet bandwidth.
Paul, considering that you stopped, we have a question.
Yeah,
Does it support also a way to interact with custom models and so on? No?
Yes. Yeah, you can upload custom models there. You can upload the XML files if you like. You can apply aspects to that. So yeah, I think we covered the 90%, as I said, for this CMIS protocol. Here we have a lot of tests, and you can have a lot of examples here. And we also integrated a couple of test case management tools. We also group them based on the functionality of the protocol. And as I said, we have a lot of tests defined here. I'm not sure if I have time to go on the remaining, but the same, this is the REST API protocol. It uses almost the same language. If I have time, I can go on this one too.
Please go ahead. We stop you, even if we have around 10 minutes, but I think it's really interesting what we are sharing.
Perfect. So for the REST API, this is a little bit slightly different because it's REST API. So the protocols are using the same approach for CMIS test, but the REST API has a slight different approach. I also copy the test for this one. What I'm trying to do here is just to make a simple get call on this endpoint. So maybe it's best to show you exactly the API Explorer. So I'm trying to make a get call on this one. So I will pass here the site ID as TechTalk, and I should see this type of response, and I can make some assertion on that response, assert also the HTTP code and so on and so forth. Let's paste here the test. So we're using the same, okay, it was called TechTalk. And I'm using the REST client. It has the same DSL, so I can authenticate. But it's something different here. I have with core API and using site, get site. Why we use this type of approach? Let's see exactly the REST API. So we have the authentication API, the core API, the workflow API. So this is modeled based on the API Explorer. We have the core API, search API, authentication API, and so on and so forth. So if, for example, you want to test the workflow API, you'll type there with workflow API, and that's it. Just for you to, it's a helper for you to know exactly what you want to test. So with core API, I'm using my TechTalk site, and I perform behind the scenes the get method, and I'm asserting that the status code of this page is, this is from Spring, it's actually 200. And then I can assert particular fields, and the fields that is returned by that call are displayed in a JSON format. So I can, for example, check the visibility is private. I can check if the GUID is this one, and so on and so forth. Let's also run this. I believe I'm using the same server IP 219, yeah. So here you also saw the GET response, and this is the response that is from the site, and it seems that the role was not found in the return response, which is actually true. This was only for demonstration purposes. So this is pretty much the demo for today. I pass back to Craig, I believe, for some key points.
Yes, Craig. First of all, thank you, Paul. Craig, can you first of all congratulations to all of you guys and the team, because I think it's extremely useful and it's quite complex, the local part, the TAS, blah blah blah. So it's really interesting. Craig, can you spend a lot of time talking and sharing about the near future and the current solution, because again, my personal opinion, it's a really useful tool.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Francisco. So basically, the release 1, as Paul and Sergiu showed you, was focused on the repository. If you can imagine, lots of testing before was done via the user interface, whereas the solution that we have here allows us to almost forget about the UI and just allows us to look at the APIs and protocols. So it becomes a much more rigorous and robust automation framework. Couple that with Sergiu and the team's provisioning capabilities, it allows us to really take the platform quickly. We've dramatically reduced the test cycles, and again, in the future we can share some stats, but I won't bore you with all those today. But we've taken it down from days to hours to test this stuff, to do this on every build. So we're currently planning for what happens in release 2. The focus of release 2 will be to really ensure that we are delivering software as efficiently as we possibly can. So we looked at the platform repository in this first release. The second release is to look at things like upgrades, installations, all of the things that we test which have a fairly manual burden, take some time to do, and we're looking to automate as much of that as possible. On the provisioning side, Sergiu and the team will be looking at harnessing the power of things like AWS, for example, so that we can create environments without not necessarily boundless, but certainly not the restrictions that we might have currently in terms of giving the development and test teams environments to work upon. So that's really exciting stuff. And that's, as I say, that's kind of what we're kind of defining the scope for now. And the guys have shown you probably just a small snapshot of what TAS has done over the last year. There's all sorts of stuff. We could do a tech talk on our integration with kind of test management tools, for example.
And we will do, I hope.
I hope so, because it's it's stuff that we can use. We've been really mindful from the very beginning that everything that we do is we use open source tooling. So at one point we would like to share this. We don't have a deadline or a date for that, but there's no reason why we can't start to think about releasing this to the wider community for their use, and indeed so that the community can help us develop a robust set of tests that they might be producing.
Could be great. First of all, a feedback for all of you. Sorry to interrupt you, but it's a feedback and one question. First of all, there is a feedback talking about the fact that it seems to be that really simplifies the complex. So it's a huge goal in my opinion. And one question is if in your next version we don't know exactly when, you plan to have some visual text orchestrating the test to make this tool available also to business analysts and not only to pure developers.
So the guys will probably smile at that, because when we first did a discovery phase again, we said we need to make this accessible to non-technical users. So we thought, well, what does that mean? What is a non-technical user? And so the DSL approach was our kind of first step towards making this open and accessible. But yeah, we're trying to make this as easy to consume as possible, and be interested to get some feedback as to what that might look like for business analysts and what they might need to be able to use this. We can also, there's a potential that we can have a layer of kind of TDD sort of frameworks on top of the DSL if we wanted to do that. So it's there for us to be able to achieve that.
Definitely interesting. We are on top of the hour, even if it's not a hard cut, and we don't have any more questions from the IRC or the Technical Live. Craig, do you want to complete your contribution, or do you want to say something else about the project?
No, that's absolutely fine. I think the guys have done the talking by demonstrating the code, and let's hope we can do another Tech Talk Live and show you as we progress through this.
Really nice.
Yeah,
So
nice job, guys.
Please, Kristen, go ahead.
I was saying that we got through all the questions. If anybody does have additional questions about the presentation or TAS in general, you can post those in the community and we'll get them to the right folks. Or again, you can ask in IRC, but everybody's got to go back to work, so not everybody's online. So if you want to ask in the community, we can get them to the right folks for more details.
I think we are on top of the hour, and probably we can start with the greetings. So I personally would like to thank you, and of course, thanking you, I would like also to thank all the team, because it's not only you guys that you're working on this solution, and I think that it's extremely useful and interesting what we have seen today, and also me, I hope we will see it more often in the future, not only with enhancement but also with an more open solution shared with the guys. In any case, we will see also the decision and after this first release. And in any case, I think this is extremely useful. So thank you very much for sharing this as for your job. Saying that, if you don't have nothing to add, I leave the word to Kristen, and see you soon, especially you, Sergio, at the Beacon. Craig, Paul, are you going to join at the Beacon?
Are you going to invite us?
more than happy to stay there. It's there is a lots of interesting guys and funny guys there, and so it's interesting to stay there.
Sounds good.
Well, thanks everybody for coming to this one. Again, we won't have office hours at the end of the month because we'll all be at BCon, so we hope to see you guys there, or we'll catch you at the next Tech Talk Live on May 10th. All right, guys. Everybody have a good afternoon.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. See you at the BCon.